Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Let's continue.
那么，他这个道理呀，我再给你们举出来一个。好像你喂猫那个碗，喂猫那个碗。
To illustrate the principle, let me give you another analogy. It's like a dish you use to feed a cat, a dish to feed a cat.
道理呀，我再给你们举出来一个。好像你喂猫那个碗，喂猫那个碗，因为你不洗它，喂猫，猫很吃完了那么邋邋遢遢，所以你。
You feed the cat, but because you didn't wash the dish after the cat has finished eating, it is dirty.
秃鹰啊，都来吃，都要来吃这个东西。为什么呢？
Because of that, flies will come to eat. They will come to eat the leftovers. Why?
因为那儿不干净，所以呢，乌蝇呢吃。
Because it is dirty there, flies gather to feed off the leftovers.
还有一个比较，那个北极熊啊，在最北方那个冰天雪地那个地方有北极熊。
Another analogy is the polar bears that live in the frozen northernmost region.
这北极熊很厉害，它很聪明，它专门呢，北极熊就是最北方那个熊 bear。
The polar bear is fierce and intelligent. It is the bear of the northernmost region bear.
它很聪明的，它吃那个鱼啊，有那个在这个海里的海豹出来，它专门吃海豹，海豹吃那个东西。
It is very intelligent and it feeds on fish. There are seals in the sea. When the seals come out, it feeds exclusively on seals. Feeds on seals.
他怎么样了呢？他就把前面挡上几个血块，他在这后边这等着那海豹出来，不知道。
How does it catch them? It conceals itself in the snow and waits for a seal to come out.
到这有北极熊，他从他旁边一过，他一找去了，刀住就吃了。
The seal is unaware that the polar bear is there. When it passes in front of the bear, the bear seizes and devours it.
吃了，但是他吃不了，这个或者吃剩下一点。
The bear eats it, but it can't finish all the meat, so there are likely some leftovers.
这个时候就有一种叫北极狐狸啊。这北极狐啊，就专门找这个北极熊吃剩下这个东西。
Then the polar fox constantly scavenges for the leftovers of the polar bear.
这地方啊，这个北极熊啊，吃剩有这种不干净的肉类呀， 这个北极狐是这样有把这个东西他拿到藏起来。
For example, the polar fox goes to take and hide the filthy meat left over by the polar bear.
他吃不了，他把它藏起来，收起来，收到什么地方呢？收。
The fox can't finish the meat either, so it collects and hides the meat. Where does it hide the meat?
收到那个冰里边，他把那个冰啊弄一个窟窿，把这个东西放在那地方，等他没有东西。
It hides the meat in the ice and makes a hole in the ice and stores the meat in there.
吃的时候，他也拿来吃，所以
When the fox runs out of food, it takes the meat out to eat.
鸡兄有的时候没有东西吃啊，他因为吃饱了他就不管了，剩下多少他不管了。
Since the polar bear just eats its fill and doesn't care about the leftovers, sometimes it has nothing to eat.
北极狐呢，它就可以找着这个人吃剩的东西，它又把它留起来。
What about the polar fox? It has food to eat because the polar fox found the leftovers and stored them away.
当没有东西的时候吃。
So, it still has something to eat when its food runs out.
这北极熊的就好像人，好像这个猫吃这个东西剩下，这北极狐啊就譬喻这个鬼。
The polar bear is like the cat in that it always leaves leftovers. The polar fox is an analogy for ghosts.
就是譬喻这个苍蝇，这个苍蝇呢来吃这个猫吃剩下这个东西，这个苍蝇就譬喻这个鬼和这个北极狐。
For example, the flies come to eat the cat's leftovers. Flies and the polar fox are both analogies for ghosts.
所以，人你心里切记不要有鬼。
So, we should be especially careful not to have ghosts inside our mind.
也不要有恨，也不要有怨，也不要有烦恼，也不要有怒，也不要有烦。
We shouldn't harbor hatred, or harbor resentment, or harbor annoyance, or harbor anger, or harbor vexation.
有这些东西那就不得了，那就叫五鬼闹财。
The presence of these is very troublesome. It's called 5 ghosts haunting the house.
Okay, so the master said the whole point here is he went through the animal kingdom or talked about polar bears and what have you. And to make a point that I find interesting, he says, ghosts eat leftovers, meaning that when you become a ghost, you will forever be looking for leftovers to eat. You don't get to eat the food, the first grade food, but you only get to eat leftovers. So that's the nature of the retribution for ghosts. Yes, go ahead, Conk.
Hello, Master. The ghosts, you said they can only eat if you recite the 3 mantras. So when they eat the leftovers, do they still need the mantras?
The mantras are for the food we offer them. But typically, the ghosts, I'm told that they go and eat excrements and drink urine and stuff like that. Apparently, when they do that, they don't need to recite mantras. They don't need mantras at all. But in order to eat our food on our altars, you need to have, they need to help. to be able to properly consume them, because those are considered to be Michelin star food for them. All right, anyone else? Good question. Or you plan to have ghosts or something, to become a ghost? Okay, so he says, and remember, being a ghost is no fun. You get to eat only scraps. You get to eat things that people don't want. Okay, and so it's not something you want to, the realm that you want to go into in your future lives. And how do you go into those future lives in the future? By harboring the negative emotions right now in this lifetime, meaning you harbor greed, you harbor hatred, you harbor vexation, you harbor jealousy, you harbor resentment, stuff like that. And therefore, you plant the seeds for you. That's what the Master YongHua calls the mind of ghost. That's a ghost mind. If your mind is resentful, and you have the mind of a ghost. If your mind is vexed, then you are creating the seeds for you to become a ghost in the future. Okay, so beware. Continue.
所以你们这些修道的人、出家的人，完了还他妈去安抚你，你发脾气。
So, you cultivators of the way and left-home people still have too much anger.
发脾气鬼就来了。
When you lose your temper, these ghosts will come around.
你出家，你就出家一个样子，你这样你肚里头有鬼，在外头有鬼。
If you have left the home life only superficially, and there are ghosts in your belly, the ghosts outside will come too.
小心一点。不知道这高死人呢，就在地。不知道这是在这。
So be careful. No one knows that the ghosts are in their own mind.
人人都不知道，这鬼就在自己的心里。People just don't know that ghosts are. 那么在这个第5个盘期念天佛，正好啊，来看这个念还是谁。
This is our 5th week of Chanti. It's so good that every day we get to investigate whose is reciting the Buddha's name.
Okay, any questions about the ghosts in your mind? No. The conclusion he made was that if you have those negative thoughts in your mind, that is a proof that ghosts are in your mind. So, for example, someone is wrong, someone does something that's improper, steals something, insults something, brutalizes someone. Clearly, that person is wrong. Okay? In particular, the person comes over and abuses you, insults you, for example, for the wrong reason, for no good reasons at all. So far, so good? So naturally, most of us will give rise to thoughts of anger. What does it mean? That we're right. We are justified being angry. Yes? And we get angrier and angrier because a person continues to insult us, abuse us. So what happened is that worldly people, and I call it worldly people, I'm not calling them losers at all, because not all worldly people are losers. But worldly people, this is an ordinary way of life, where they are so justified, they're so righteous about things. They said, this is unfair, this is wrong, this is unjustified, this is illogical, and therefore they get upset. Okay, and when at the level of logic, of fairness, of justice, they're absolutely right. They're absolutely justified. Okay, but from a spiritual perspective, so in a worldly perspective, worldly standards, they're justified. But from a spiritual perspective, what happens to them? They are preparing to become ghosts. Think about it. You're so proud to be right. You feel so justified because you see all the people are wrong. Okay? And therefore you're resentful. You are jealous. Okay? And all you're doing to yourself, you're harming yourself. Whose fault is it? Seriously. So you will become a ghost. You will become a white-faced ghost, green-faced ghost, black-faced ghost, red-faced ghost. He didn't say about arrogance, right? He didn't say about what kind of ghost you become when you're arrogant. No. He talked about white-face, black-face, and so forth. But you become a ghost. So what's the point? So ordinary people, worldly people, insist on being right. And I guess more or less are willing to become ghosts for being right. Whose fault is it? Yes, 6.
Master, it's my fault.
Your fault?
My own. If I attract ghosts to myself, it's my own fault.
But you treated unfairly.
Yes, I was, and it.
The boss is unfair to you. You misunderstood.
Yes, I'll get vexed over that, and I'll attract ghosts.
So you won't say anything, you won't do anything, you won't fight, you won't argue, you won't do anything, is what you're telling me? You're not real.
Not at all. I will definitely fight back.
I'm only trying to discuss with you life. That's what happens to us. People are unfair to us. People mistreat us. People brutalize us. It's so unfair. What to do? Number 5.
Thank you, Master. I feel this ghost in the stomach and ghost in the mind is like revelatory in terms of information. In terms of who's at fault, Ignorance is difficult to make a fault. If people don't know that ghosts in their mind are influencing them to become angry, it's hard to hold them at fault from my perspective, but it's still their fault, or it's my fault to make it in the first person.
So you're saying the person who provoked you to become angry is that person's fault, not your fault? Is what you're saying? You're the victim,
No.
and they are...
I'm saying it's my fault for allowing the ghost to make me feel angry based on someone else's actions.
So you're supposed to ignore it?
I think that's an ideal for me to strive for. What I've found is more realistic is when having a passionate conversation with somebody at work or someone at home, as long as you don't respond with anger, you do a lot better. You don't respond with being vexed, you do a lot better. But when you respond with one of those 5 ghosts in your house, when they're speaking for you or they're influencing the way you speak, you get in big trouble.
Yes, Wang.
우선 먼저 어제
She has a question, clearly, which is she prepared. Okay. Go ahead.
우선 먼저 어제 마스터께서 평소보다 물이 뜨거웠던 것을 두고 사랑이 미움으로 바뀐 예라고 하셨는데 솔직히 말씀드리면 사랑이 식었다는 것이 정확한 표현일 것 같습니다.
Master, yesterday you mentioned about the tea. When I served the tea and you said, I think the love became changed. Love is changed and no longer there's a love. And I think it is true that the love is no longer there, and that is the true expression.
사랑이 식은 이유는 복합적인데 가장 큰 이유는 저는 더 이상 아라한이 되고 싶지 않고 아라한이 되기를 포기했습니다.
The reason that I'm no longer in love is it's kind of complicated, but the biggest reason is because I don't want to be an arhat anymore, and I gave up.
아라한이 되기를 포기하고 나니까 이곳에 있을 이유가 없는 상황에서 저를 포함한 사람들이 복을 많이 지어야 한다는 이유로 다른 사람이 하고 있던 일에 도전을 하고 차가운 눈초리를 보내고 비난을 하고
After I give up to be an arhat, there's no reason to be here any longer. But myself, including others, the reason is we need to accumulate more blessings. So I made myself to do more work that other people were doing. And I receive criticism, and then also I criticize others.
물론 지금 제가 말씀드리는 거는 저를 포함한 부분입니다.
Of course, what I'm saying is that including me.
사실 가장 힘든 건 제가 그렇게 혐오하고 비난했던 사람들과 제 자신이 똑같다는 것을 지각했고 그 사람들도 나도 똑같이 불쌍하다는 생각이 들었고 슬펐습니다. 서로가 서로를 미워하고 비난하고 뺏고 뺏기고 이런 악의 다툼이 참으로 비참했습니다.
The most difficult things for me is because due to that conflict, I had a hatred, and then I criticized these people. But however, I realized and recognized that I am the same as these people. These people, I realized that they're poor, and I felt really sad for them. And then we hate each other, and we criticize each other. We steal each other's work, and then almost like it's a tragedy and between asuras fights.
그리고 제가 그렇게 혐오했던 사람들은 단지 꼴이나 몸통뿐이었고 그냥 제가 큰 판에서 이리저리 굴려지고 있다는 생각이 들었고 이렇게까지 해서 아란이 될 일인가 하는 굴욕감이 들었습니다.
So what I realized that the people that I really hate, it was just their tail and the body, and I just was just struggling, and I thought about that, and then I asked myself, do I have to do this way and to be an arhat? And I felt very discouraged.
위에서 말씀드린 이유로 물의 온도가 바뀐 것 같습니다.
Because of this explanation, as you know, that's why the temperature of the tea is changed.
그리고 질문이 있습니다.
And I have a question.
범민이 일어났던 사람들은 범민을 일으킨 사람을 다시 말했습니다. 범민이 일어난 사람은 창피하게 생각해야 한다고 하셨는데 그렇다면 반대편의 대칭이 되는 다른 사람에게 범민을 야기한 사람들에 대해서는 언급은 없으셔서 질문드립니다. 다른 사람들에게 범민을 야기한 사람들은 뭔가요?
So yesterday, Master, you mentioned about vexation. So if I am vexed, I should be ashamed of that vexation. So what about if I am the person who caused the vexation to others? Would you explain to that, please?
I don't know. The rest of you, I'm sure, have a lot of ideas about this. Go ahead, Ahong.
I just want to say this morning I get angry
Oh no.
when I go to
You
work.
got a red-faced ghost.
Yeah. So
Is it the anger that you manifest? The anger is seething anger.
the anger because
No. What kind of anger is it? The anger that shows, the anger that kind of seething underneath, is squeezing to boil out like a volcano.
it's something that causing the lungs to hurt.
Okay.
So I walked in and they lost the key. So then they blamed that on me for losing the key, but it was turned out to be like it's not the actual situation. But I remember Master say about the ghost, so then I use hands and eyes to diffuse it.
Diffuse or attack them?
Diffuse it.
Oh.
I did not attack, I diffused it.
Hands and eyes to the rescue. Okay, what about this woman here, her question? Someone must have an idea what to do. 6, go ahead.
So to answer the question, should you feel ashamed if you cause somebody to be vexed? My answer would be yes, you should, because in order to make somebody angry, in my mind, you also have to be angry. And that means that you already have the ghost. You've already attracted the ghost, you're attracting more ghosts, and then you pass your vexation on to somebody else, and now that person is attracting their ghost. So yes, you should be ashamed.
That's it? All the brilliant minds, all the samadhi power and wisdom, Buddhist wisdom has been accruing for 15 years. This is all we got? 5.
Thank you, Master. I appreciate the compassion that comes with the question of how of if you're vexing other people. I think being aware that you may be vexing other people is a step in the right direction compared to being oblivious. And to me shows compassion and growth.
Okay. Anyone else? That's just common sense. Learn from the Catholics. Q&A.
Emitofuo, thank you, Master. My thought for her is during the 40 and there's going to be a lot of obstacles that go in and trying to put thought into your head. So whatever you feel, it might not be your, and then try to, if you acknowledge that, then try to push it aside and then think that, oh, it's just a short-term thing. Nothing gonna last forever, and focus on your goal of cultivation. Don't give up.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes. 5.
Thank you, Master. One other thing that came to mind is sometimes part of not quitting is allowing yourself the outflow to say that you want to quit. You're not always going to feel like you can make it. And sometimes just expressing that you want to quit gives you the steam to blow off so that you can recuperate and continue to push forward.
Anyone else? What about your kindness and compassion? What's the big deal? You want to quit? Quit. You want to stop? Stop. Who's forcing you? No one is forcing you. Cultivation is personal choice. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Now the question is what if you afflict others? Then you're creating offenses. So you're creating offenses in 2 cases. You do it intentionally or unintentionally. You do it intentionally, then you're a bad person. You should try to fix that. It's not about cultivation anymore. It's about a way of life. Cultivation is not about meditation. It's not about crossing your legs. The meditation, crossing your legs, is just experience to teach you about life. Think Chan is about coming here, you only practice Chan, you come here and cross your legs? That's not Chan. The Chan I'm teaching you is 24 hours a day, in case you haven't noticed. Why are we discussing these things? Why do you talk so much about everything? What will your life be like after you finish this 10-week of Chan Qi here? Does Chan Qi stops? Does the Chan stops? It doesn't. What you're doing here, the past 9.5 weeks, are designed to help you understand yourself and stop making mistakes. Because the mistakes you keep on making is what's keeping you in this vicious cycle of reincarnation, vicious cycles of pain and suffering, not only for yourself, but for people around you as well. You hurt yourself, and particularly hurt the people around you. Whether it's intentional or not, you're still hurting people around you. What Chan is about is for that purpose, for you, to help you awaken to that. Who cares whether you sit in full lotus or not? Wait a minute. Let me take it back. The full lotus is just an excuse to ask you to do something you cannot, to ask you to do something you don't like, to ask you to do something that you disagree with. That's a typical of our Wei-Yang Chan training. It's one of the characteristics of Wei-Yang Chan training is that we ask you to do something that you don't like to do. It doesn't make sense to you. Now, losers quit. Tough luck. The one who's hanging in there, no matter how difficult it is, are the ones who will understand. That's all. Who's forcing you to cultivate? Who's forcing you to become a Buddha? No one. It makes sense to you? Do it. Does it make sense to you? Quit. Who cares? It's your life. I'm not responsible for your life. So what happens is after this Chanchi here, you walk away and you go back to your regular life and you realize that it's quite a different world. You know, it's full of vexations, full of afflictions, a lot more than here. That's reality. And that's where you will find that some of the skills you acquire from these chanchis will help you cope better with life. That's all. The more skilled you are, the more skill you're able to develop through these training sessions, the better you'll be able to cope with your life. That's all. This is what people would like. It's typical that people come to these chanchis. Oh, chanchi is separate and real life is separate. No such a thing where I'm coming from. Chanchi is an intense period of training to help you develop skills to apply in your regular life. That's why I'm doing this. If chanchi is only because I imprison here, I lock you up for 5 weeks, 10 weeks, and then you know, and that's it. No. It's a specialized training program to help you understand, open your wisdom, make you healthier, stronger. That's what it's about. Hopefully, we have become a better person. And that's the whole point. The whole point is that stop harassing me about you. It's about what have you learned to become a better person. Losers insist on being right and whine and bitch and moan about how wrong the world is, how wrongly how they're wronged, how they're underappreciated. Huh? We make things happen. By becoming a better person. You improve your life by becoming a better person, not about by being more right. I just showed to you, the Master just taught you, the more right you are, more likely, the more miserable you'll be, because you become a ghost. That's all you do. You happens to you when you're right. But some of you are so stupid that you insist on being right. Tell me I'm right, and tell me I'm doing right. Therefore, it's okay for me to become a ghost because I'm right. How stupid can you be? You're always right. You're so sick mentally up here. Right is sickness. It's a mental sickness. Life is not about right. Right is for losers. Right is for miserable people. Do you want to become happier? It's not about by making more money. It's not about being more right. The basis of your happiness, it should be clear in your chanchi, is that when you are purify your mind and get rid of these negative thoughts, well, what happens to you? You become a better person and you have more chance to be happy. You are less afflicted. You create fewer offenses. In the future, when we have more facilities and more manpower, I would love to create programs where I allow you to shave your head for a year or two, like the Hinayana people. Okay, I don't care who you are. Black, white, yellow, short, tall, I don't care. Married, unmarried, I don't care. But learn to be a better person. And this intense program will put you through the grinders so that you become a better person. And to me, I saw that the Hinayana people in Thailand, for example, they do that. They encourage young people to do that. You know, they go and shave their head and become a monk for 2 years, and then they get out and they get married. Okay? But to me, I thought about that, and I said, wow, it would be so cool that in the future we do something like that. And of course, it's a new program, so it won't have a lot of people. But the point is that we train you for a year or two. It takes a year or two, so that you are a vastly superior person. You're vastly a better person. Right now, I don't care what you do. I mean, you don't understand it because you're stupid. That's too bad. It's good because that's why we have chanchis like this. That's why we have teachings of Master YongHua who gave us insights that he's capable of having. But we interpret for you why he would say those things and teach those things. Because the important lesson tonight, to me, is so fascinating. It says, you worldly people insist on being right and be miserable. We cultivators, rather be wrong, but we are happier. We may be poor, we'll be happier. You may be right, but you are alcoholics, you're drug addicts, you gamble, you do bad things with your life. Yeah, be right. Be yourself. What a disgusting person you are. Even your children don't like you when they get to be older. So I don't want to be like you. Look at yourself. I rarely see children growing up and say, I want to be like you, Dad. Except for when the dad is very rich. Okay? That's the only exception I see. Yeah. But why is it children don't grow up and they have no respect for you? Seriously. You respect your parents? I ask you. I have zero respect for my parents. Never liked them since I was a teenager. I don't want to be like them. Like I became a monk, I look at my seniors. I don't be like you either. But that's a concern. Think about it. Your children are not impressed by you. They don't want to be like you. Something has got to change. How about starting with yourself? That's why I thought with young people. Why don't you learn? Why don't you shave your head? I will beat you up. I will brutalize you. I will enjoy myself. Okay? So that all these ghosts inside of you surface. You say, why are you so unfair to me? Huh? Because no one else will do it to you. In the real world, they do it to you, you shoot them, right? You go to the synagogue and because you're wrong. But here, when you sign up for these programs, you know you'll be brutalized, you'll be abused. And we love it. But the end, the diploma says you survived 2 years, 1 year of training. And that certifies you to be a more decent person than you first came in. It's amazing to me how we go and get an education so that we're more right. Have you thought about it? We pay through our nose for a master's degree, for a PhD, for a master's degree. You owe so much money, okay? So that you can be more right and more miserable. It's wrong. Something wrong with the system. And this unhappiness spreads because you're so unhappy. You spread it to your neighbors, to your compatriots, to your 同胞. Hmm? 同胞, what's 同胞 for English? Hmm? Your countrymen. Huh? Think about it. And we got to do something about it. We can't keep ignoring it and say, hey, children, go and get a degree, go get, education and worry about making a living, but never worry about their souls, never worry about their hearts, never worry about their morality. It's a sure fire recipe for sure fire failure and unhappiness. So we fight each other because you're right. Each side feels that we're right. So what does Buddhists do? That the worldly people sneer at us? We yield. We yield because we don't want to be afflicted. If we yield, if you yield, how are you going to afflict others? Will you at least consider tonight, think about how you've been living your life, insisting on being right and defending your grounds so that to demonstrate to the whole world that you are right? You go through extremes to prove you're right? And what does it make you? Extremely unhappy person because you're preparing to go into the ghost realm. Red face ghost, white face ghost, black face ghost, green face ghost. That's what you're doing to yourself. Aren't you grateful that this short Chinese monk gave us the insights? He said, yeah, that's what is happening to you. He's the first monk I heard who talks like this. The other monks are always talking about enlightenment and talk about how wonderful, and then make sure you donate to help me build a bigger church, bigger temple. He's talking about you. He's revealing how stupid we really are to insist on being right all the time. And fight, and fight, and fight. That's how stupid we are. How stupid I was. I came in. I'm telling you I'm speaking from experience. I came in, I saw they're all wrong. I don't want to be like you. You're wrong. So aren't you monks to learn to be more virtuous, because they will be stupid people like that coming and challenge you. You're wrong, I'm right. Okay? And what do? You yield. You don't say anything. Let them be stupid. It's their problem, it's not ours. You keep on fighting. It goes again, Master YongHua's teaching. The fighting comes from creating karmas. The fighting comes from because you're right and someone else is wrong. And that's the first thing that you don't want to violate. You don't even get it. After all these years, after all this training here, all this time, you still fight. You don't get it. How can you possibly make progress if you keep on fighting? You live with the ghosts. You are a ghost, because the ghosts in your minds are living your life. Nothing to be proud of. You're a total idiot. Okay, continue. Yes, 7.
We just have some comments on YouTube. Pingdong Qingjing says, on the 1st January of my cultivation, a situation took place beating me badly. I felt the demons were laughing and convincing me to quit. I did comply, saying, fine, I would quit. That calmed me down and gave me room to deal with the situation and recover and restart as soon as I had energy, just like Peter's comment. And then Gold Forest Daniel says, Master, I recently feel that I'm not making and not going to make the same mistakes, and I think it's because my focus and priorities have become more in line with wisdom. I don't know how I got to prioritize better, but that I feel helps me a lot to not make mistakes.
There you go. Very good. The first thing you learn is stop making mistakes. Stop it. You know you're making mistakes. Stop it. If you know you're behaving like a ghost, stop it. We go through, we're very lucky to have the 6 principles, the 7 principles in Wei-Yang lineage. First one, don't fight. Can't even do that. Never mind about number 2. And you think you're cultivating. And if the first chance you have is you fight. I'm right and you're wrong. Don't tell me about arhats or higher, okay? You fight like that, you get nowhere. You think too highly of yourself. I mean, this genius, this wisest man here I've ever met in my entire life, tells us this is the blueprint. Okay? Look at yourself. Why do you fight? Cut it out. Why are you greedy? Cut it out. You still don't get it, and you think you're so smart. I asked someone, you think you're pretty smart? I say, yeah. Smarter than my own disciples? Oh, yeah. My disciples are more stupid, but they get hired because they don't fight. Except with me. Oh, this is blueprint of the Wei-Yang lineage that work for so many people, so many Chinese people. And work for so many Americans here as well. You keep on looking somewhere else. Look at yourself. Why you fight? Why are you so greedy? You fight. You live in a ghost. You're greedy. You live in a ghost. Yes, 8.
Thank you, Master. When we admit we are vexed, are we then exposing our ego as well?
When we admit what?
When we admit we are vexed, are we then exposing our ego as well?
We admit we're best?
Yeah, vexed. Mm-hmm. Vexed. V-E-X-E-D.
What?
Vexed.
What? Dax? I need hearing aids very soon. And we spend so much money on these things. I want a refund. We admit that we are best?
Vexed. Vexed.
It's not my ears.
It's not my ear. Okay.
Thank you, Lord.
Vexed. Vexed. Yeah.
When we admit we're vexed.
Vexed.
Vex is 2 hours thing. It's okay.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. What was it, Master? I'm sorry, it was my fault.
You doing it on purpose.
No, I
You're doing this on purpose.
I swear I can't hear.
You are a mean person.
I swear
Just because I need hearing aids, you don't need to
who knows
embarrass me.
Who knows I might need hearing aids too.
But I'm not afflicted. I'm not vexed at all. So when you vex, okay, and what is the question?
Are we then afflicting our ego as well, exposing our ego as well?
Who's vexed?
Me.
Therefore, there's an ego. When you realize you're vexed, and you say, no, I don't want to be vexed. I don't want to be angry. Then the ego diminishes. But if you indulge in getting vexed, because you're right, the ego gets bigger. And the ghost becomes more powerful. The ghost in your mind becomes more powerful.
So,
with the blessings from the ego. Because the ego says, I'm right. The ghost says, yeah, that's right. You see that? The relationship? Okay? It starts with your not understanding the principles. It starts with your being confused. He says, I'm right. And then she's wrong. So let's let her have it. Let's fight. Let's make our point. We win. We can't lose. And so that first thing there that we're right is the ego, and the fight is the ghost. The red-faced ghost. All right? So yes, every time you're vexed, the ego grows bigger. The ghost is more entrenched. It's harder to get rid of it. It becomes more powerful. Okay, anyone else? Okay, continue.
As long as we keep on investigating ceaselessly till there's nowhere to go, then there can be a new state. If you do not cultivate, then you cannot attain this new state.
Okay, he's talking about Huatou. Okay, let me back up. I have to pay attention here. Okay. allow me again to stress our style of training. Okay, and I want you to see how different it really is compared to the typical meditation training, whether it's from the Hinayana, from Tibetans, or whatever. Okay, whether you do another Zen style of training, or Thai style of training, Myanmar style of training, and so forth. The way we train our people is quite different. In that, here's a problem with most of the training programs. You go and you meditate. You learn meditation skills like Huatou, like breathing, like a mantra, like reciting Buddha's name. And you spend a week, a Chanqi, Foqi, doing it. Okay, you go to a quite grueling, or maybe sometimes you bow. You go to my master's temple, you bow like for a month. 11,000 Buddha's name. Okay, you bow and you feel very good. Okay, every day you bow, and so every day you get into the mode of bowing, and now you go to a different place. Your mind goes to a different place. Okay, or you go to Hinayana meditation program, and they teach you all these things, the wonderful Buddhist principles. Okay, that knowledge will increase your knowledge. Okay, or you go to the mountain. Okay, and you meditate all day. Go to the valley, hide yourself, and meditate, and you open your wisdom. You increase your samadhi. But as soon as, no matter what skills you have, as soon as you interact with people, I've seen this the last 15 years. I've seen people reaching different levels of wisdom, different levels of samadhis and wisdom. As soon as they interact with people, that's when they lose all their samadhis, all their knowledge. They don't know how to deal with it. And that's what one of the first things I noticed when Master Shua taught during the Chanqis, he says, the young flame cannot withstand the wind. And the more I practiced, the more I go around and see how people practice at their different temples, including my own master's temples, as well, the Taiwanese, the Chinese, the Japanese, you name it, Thai and so forth. The more I see how true that is. What does it mean? What are they trying to tell us? The flame, the young flame, cannot withstand a slight wind, a small wind, the breeze. It means that the flame is supposed to be something that's helpful, that's productive, but it cannot handle the stress and the test of reality. You put the flame out in the open. That's called life. It cannot handle the wind. Wherever you go, there will be wind. If you're a flame, you will encounter winds. You can't handle it. So what for? You practice all this, and the moment you see someone, you lose all your cool, all your samadhi power, and you fight to death because you're right and because you're stronger. And what's the point of doing this? You go to temple, you practice Chanchi, they talk to you about, the wonderful principles of Buddhism. And you build your samadhi power. But that samadhi power is useless because you cannot. You get confused by your ghosts. You're so haughty, you think you're so special, you think you're right, you think you're better. You don't realize it's your ghost. It's pulling your strings. So how far do you think you can go? You're so sure of yourself, you think you can figure it out. But look at how far you got. This woman here, one day she went 4 stage out, next day I give up. It's not just her. It happens to so many people. They don't even know there's the ghost who's pulling them to go 4 stage out. Same ghost says, oh, that's quit. One day, God in the heavens. Next day, hells. That's what happens. People, they go to a place. They spend 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years of their life practicing meditation by themselves or with a bunch of people. And then the moment they go out and meet real people, real life, the flame cannot withstand the wind, cannot survive the wind. So all they practice, all 5, 10 years, lost. He has 7.
A question from Michael. Does a 4th stage Arhat have psychic powers or only bodhisattvas?
Well, they all do have psychic powers, not just 4th stage. You have psychic powers when you have samadhi powers. But clearly, the higher you highest on the samadhi level, the stronger you are. That's why we talk about building samadhi power, not worry about psychic powers, because spiritual powers will entrap you. You become enamored with it. Best not to have it until you have real wisdom. And that's the difference between cultivation, people who know how to cultivate and those who don't. Those people who don't know how to cultivate sell you on psychic powers, spiritual powers. How cool, how wonderful it is. And that's why they get stuck. I remember this Urpo doctor, our temple doctor, when I was at Blue Mountain Temple. He used to come quite a lot more often. I sent a lot of people to go see him. He first came to me, and he used his heavenly eyes to take a look at me. I said, okay, feel free to take a look at me. And I looked at him and said, oh, now you're interesting. You're different from people. I said, yeah, of course I'm different from people. I'm poorer than people. I'm more stupid than people. So he says, how do I improve my skill level? I said, I teach you how to improve your skill level. Yes, I will teach you. This is what you do. But let me warn you, you won't be able to do it. And this is a guy who has skills, because every time he needs to look at someone, he uses skills to open his spiritual eye and look at you and say, oh, you're so interesting. Oh, this, you're different from other people. Oh, I know so much about you now. But to go to the next level, I show him how to do it. I said, it's very simple. You don't even need to cross your legs. Got you. Really? That's for slow people, inferior people. So we said, don't have to cross your legs. Okay? The degree of difficulty is lower. Crossing your legs is a higher level degree of difficulty. Okay? And of course, different practices, different levels of practices. And you don't need to cross your legs. So, but I want to. Go ahead, cross your legs. Need to meditate? You don't need to meditate. Okay? Why do you look so relieved? But let me tell you, do the same thing you've been doing, okay? What you learn all your life. The skill you have are good enough for you to go to the next level. But I'm telling you, even though I told you this is the most direct way for you to get there, you won't be able to do it. Why not? Because every day he uses spiritual powers. Every day. He's so attached to it. It's like, I'll give you an analogy, it's like cultivation like a skyscraper. One samadhi level is one, like one floor. Next level is next floor. Next floor, next floor. Yes? You're at this floor and you like it so much. You like the bathrooms. You like the windows, you like the music and all those things. So he said, but that, you like that a lot more than going to the next floor. That's why you're stuck there. And that's the same thing. When you have spiritual powers, all these things you find to be so cool where you are, you're not going to move. Even though you know there is a stair going up there, you're not going to take it. You understand the analogy? That's what I told him. I didn't explain it to him that way, but I said, you won't make it because you won't. And sure enough, 3 years later, he's still stuck. 4 years later, he's still stuck. It's all until what happened. I don't know what happened recently, but he made it to the next level after years. And he's got someone teaching him the Dharma as well. Buddhist Dharma. Buddhist principles. Yes, 7.
Zhihong asks, what is the difference between vexed and afflicted?
Vex is now. Okay? Afflicted, vex, it's probably the same thing, isn't it? Oh, I think we talked about it last night. I don't remember anymore. Someone help me out. I talk and I forget. Yeah, go ahead, 5.
Thank you, Master. To summarize, vexed is like, ongoing consternation, frustration. Affliction is like general. Like you're afflicted when you're angry, you're afflicted when you're sad, you're afflicted when your team loses a game, you're afflicted when, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But vexed is a specific state. You're vexed when things are unfair and you can't explain it. Today, tomorrow, next week, for months.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you for reminding me. Afflicted. Afflicted is a general term that refers to all the mental ailments you have. It's good. It's called greed. It's called anger. It's called jealousy. It's called vexation. It's called whatever. So affliction is a Buddhist term. 烦恼. 烦恼 is something you want to get rid of from a Buddhist perspective. So it doesn't matter, whatever it is. Okay? It's not just negative. It's also positive feelings as well. Meaning that you like it when someone praises you. That means you're afflicted. Okay? For most people, you're afflicted when you use the term affliction. Most people associate affliction with negative feelings, negative emotions. Actually, in a China world, affliction is also includes positive emotions as well, positive thoughts as well. Okay? So I give you general definition of affliction. Affliction is when the mind moves. For whatever the reasons. The mind moves because you like it. Okay? That's an affliction. People insult you. Okay? That's an affliction. Legs hurt. Is that an affliction? Legs hurt. Is that an affliction? It is an affliction? No. You are such wimps. Leg hurts is a good thing. Yes, 5.
Master, I have to share that I became afflicted just now because you were sharing with the young Hankuk Saram, the young Korean lady, that she doesn't have to cross her legs to progress. And I watched her fast for 23 days. And when you said stop, she's like, okay. But when you said she doesn't have to cross her legs, I could see the smile from here. And I've never fasted for 23 days. But she thinks crossing her legs, not having to do that is better. I'm afflicted, Master.
You're so afflicted, yeah. So sorry. Legs hurting is not an affliction. It is a punishment. I thought I'd make you laugh. Pain is it's a physical state. What is the matter with you? It's just a physical state. Pain is just pain. It's just a feeling. Then what is an affliction? I gave you a definition because Chu Hong asked. That's why I gave you the definition for an affliction. It's unfortunately the Buddhist dictionaries don't have that definition. Okay, that's why I have to give it to you. Affliction is when your mind moves. So, pain, the physical pain, does your mind move? Does it? If your mind moves, then it's an affliction. How does your mind move? Stop! Yes? Sounds familiar? Go away! Sound familiar? That's an affliction. Yes? The pain is just the pain. But you say, go away. It's the same thing. Someone comes to insult you. Is that an affliction? No. But you say, is that an affliction? Absolutely. So, what if someone comes to you and say, you are such a bad person, you are an evil person, I don't want to see your face again ever on this earth, I hope you die, and I hope someone kills your entire family. Is that an affliction? Hell no. What else you want? You see that? Who's suffering? Who is suffering? The person who's afflicted suffers. You don't suffer when you're not afflicted. Your mind doesn't move. Okay. Whereas, what if someone says, I hope you go to hell. I hope you become a dragon and suffer miserable deaths. And you say, oh, goody, I be a dragon, I fly around. What a cool thing. Is it an affliction? Yeah. You like it. See that? You, Master, you're so wonderful. I adore you. I'm your concubine. Is it an affliction? For her, yeah. Not for me. You got that? Whatever they do, your mind doesn't move. It's no affliction. Is that clear? Okay. What about vexation? Vexation is a state of disapproval, a state of unhappiness, a state of not quite anger yet, but you're unhappy, you're dissatisfied. Actually, anger is stronger than vexation, but so anger is up here, vexation quite a bit lower, okay? But the difference between anger and vexation, the way I like to distinguish is that anger will have to erupt. A volcano. Anger is like a volcano. Someone's angry, expects that person to eventually erupt like a volcano. Okay? You're asking for trouble when you provoke people and make them angry, because eventually they will erupt and boil over. You're gonna be sorry. Okay? But vexation is that it's not as strong as anger, but it's seething anger so that it's hidden. Okay? It doesn't quite erupt. Okay? But it's still anger. Okay, and it's restrained, it is hidden, it's still underneath, it doesn't erupt at all, it's boiling underneath, but it doesn't spill out. That's vexation. I hope it helps. Okay? Yes, one.
Master, I have two questions. The first one is the 5 ghosts that we learned yesterday. Is it come temporarily or it lives with us like depression ghost? And another question is I lost my voice after fasting. I can't speak loud, and I think I don't have any pain, but I feel something in my throat. And sometimes when I speak, people said it sounds like Donald Duck. So can it be recovered? It just sounds normal now, but when I speak with people, I can feel my voice sounds quite strange, and it's been a while.
Are you afflicted when you talk to people?
Few days ago, I got afflicted.
And that's why you lost your voice. It's not from the fasting, it's from your affliction. I'm kidding. So what was the first question again?
5 ghosts.
The 5 ghosts stay with you? They stay as long as you make it pleasant for them to stay. Just like you go to someone's house. If they're cold and unpleasant to you, how long are you going to stick around? On the other hand, if they come and play with you and talk to you and give you food, and entertain you, you stay longer. Yes? They give you what you want, then you stay longer. Same thing. If as long as you indulge in those negative emotions, anger, jealousy, greed, okay, then they stay around longer. But if you stop, they have to leave. So if they stay as long as they're welcome, and that's why it could be quite a while before they're willing to leave. However, if you practice and you drop all your negative emotions, then it'll be gone just like that. That's how fast it could be. Okay, and the voice, I don't know. Should go see a voice doctor. Okay. Usually, the fasting is not the reason why you have a problem with the voice. Okay, it's simply the fasting simply points out to you that you have a problem somewhere. Okay, typically your voice. When I met you 3 or 4 years ago in Seoul, you talk the same way as before, okay? Because you don't project. I mean, you speak from here. Your voice starts from here, okay? And in another way, in a very simple way for you to sound better, you start from the navel. See, you can start from here because you're nervous. When you're down here, you're not as nervous and you project. Air comes out more. So the voice is more resonant, it's stronger, it's more confidence. Here is nervousness. So all you have to do is relax and start from here and breathe from here. Because when you speak to people, you speak to people, you are self-conscious. Am I correct? I just read her resume. He says, my name's so-and-so, I'm self-conscious. See? So that's why you appear timid and unsure yourself. All you have to do is relax, because the other person is so afflicted already. Why should you be conscious of yourself? Just watch and see how afflicted, It's more fun that way. See? Stop thinking about yourself. Look at them. Observe life. Life is so much more interesting. Okay? So to me, the skill you learn from here is build samadhi power, but these talks are designed to help you use them. The people who go to these places, to the meditation places, they learn only how to cross their legs, what the principle of Buddhism are, but they don't know how to apply them to real life. That's why the flame cannot survive the wind. So they're useless. It's all theory. No one tells you to look at yourself. When someone insults you, what are you going to do? Okay? So you don't worry. You look at yourself. You still don't get it. Okay? You look at yourself. You don't worry about what others are doing. Are they afflicted? They're right and wrong, whatever. None of your business. Are you afflicted? Are you vexed? That's all you care about. Okay? And the voice comes and goes. Okay? You sound normal to me. He says, I sound better now. Because she's more relaxed after sitting for an hour and 40 minutes. Normally, when she's with the others, they're judging her. And she says, oh, I'm being judged. Ooh, there's so much pressure. Ooh. And this is what you learn, all these things, because you learn, when you're tired, all you have left is your chi right here. It's not up here anymore. It has to go down here. And you start from down there. When talking, while walking, while punching, it starts from the navel. The navel. Okay? It's not with the arms. You didn't know? Oh, darn, I'm not supposed to tell you all these things. And then you go home and punch your wife, you're going to break her jaw. Because you move your hips. When you punch, it's not from the arms. It starts from the navel, and then you use your hips. And that's when the hips swing and the arm swings. Hips has to swing first. That's where the power is. It starts in the navel. Now we go into Kung Fu. Don't beat your wife like that. Okay? So I find interesting because I observed how people teach Chan Chis and the other places when they teach meditation and so forth. I love Master Hsuan style. And he teaches us how to live. The Chan is just a drill for you how to be a better person, to live a fuller life. That's what this is about. Does it help? You don't be so nervous. Even with the throat goes away, you can create new new vocal cords with the thing. Okay. I recommend 2-year program for you. You become a better man, better woman. Yes, 8.
Thank you, Master. People who have a low self-esteem, is it due to ghost or the manic state? And my second question, how would you instruct them? How would you give them an instruction?
2-year program, I just said. Listen, would you rather give me 2 years of your life and have the rest of your life being happy, live happily ever after? Or would you rather live the way you are right now, you do right now, until forever? I rest my case. That's why I love the Thai training program. It's wisdom there, that the young man would go to the temple, shave their head, and learn the way to pure life for 2 years. Okay? And after that, they go and really indulge themselves. But the point here is that I feel that cultivation is a very practical way. Cultivation, as all the patriarchs has always said it, cultivation is about how to learn to live your life. Enlightenment is in your daily life. It's not outside. Enlightenment is in your work. Enlightenment is in your eating. So for example, in our temple, when we eat, unlike almost all the other temples that cultivate, where people cultivate, our temple sounds like a restaurant. Because you're learning about kindness and compassion. You have plenty of time to learn samadhi here in a Chan hall. When you go to the dining hall, I want you to learn about kindness and compassion. Okay? All right, time is up. Any questions before we close the curtain? Pull the curtain, number 7.
Just a comment on fun now. I noticed that its translation into English is usually vexation, which is, I think, why Zhiheng was asking about it. But then it has a specific Buddhist meaning, which is for the kilesas, which basically means afflictions. So I think its normal Chinese usage is a little bit different, so I guess it took on the meaning of afflictions rather than vexation in Buddhism.
I'm sorry about the differences in translation and the nuances. You have to learn my jargon. I cannot, I don't know where you're coming from, and the dictionary and so forth. I'm not a very good person who reads a lot. I'm no interest in reading a lot of junk. The confusion is there because of the translation languages. So it's the only way for you is and Zhiheng did the right thing, is to ask me, what is your definition of affliction? What is your definition of vexation? Because we use those different terms for different purposes. In general, vexation is not that much different from affliction. But we choose to, because Master Hsien-Hua explained, he used different words, affliction, vexation, and so forth. So that's why I chose to delineate them differently. That's all. But the concept is, if you stick to the words, that's fine. But also the boundaries, the range is designed to tell you, help you differentiate between the severity or the strength of the affliction. And so yes, I read in my early days, I read different translations from scholars, from monks, from lots of people. And it doesn't matter. They're confusing to me. It's not surprising that Chu is unclear about these things, and so are a lot of people. But it doesn't matter, whatever the translation. In this case here, we use Master Hsu's teaching, so we need to do more delineation of the boundaries, because he talked about vexation, affliction, and so forth. So that's why I had to do it that way. But in general, the main concept here is don't be afflicted. Don't let your mind move, no matter what. And what's so sad about worldly people is that they torture themselves by insisting on being right. Look around you. That's how miserable people are, because they insist on being right. That's why we have so much conflict in politics, at home, everywhere, because people insist on being right. And let me add one more detail for you, is that because of that thing there, it's because of the bipolar ghosts that are pulling our strings. To insist on being right is a salient characteristic of a manic person. Pay attention. When you see a person who insists on being right, you butt heads with her, she'll fight you to the death. You can't win unless you kill her. And if you kill her, you can't win either. So that's why we, in Buddhism, are wise enough to yield. Let them be right. Let them be miserable. We just yield. We just don't move. If you can't do that, no matter how much samadhi power you got from your meditation practices, you can't survive in society. You're useless. And actually, because you don't have the proper foundation of looking and focusing on your afflictions like the Wei Yang style, you go to places where they just sit meditate for 24 hours a day for 3 months, 9 months, and so forth. In Korea, in China, and so forth, there are plenty of temples like that. Okay, they're very well known. They're established for 2,000 years in China. They have a chanchi that lasts for 6 months, 100 days or more. Okay, they're very, very famous. But no good knowing advisor. So you don't know what to do. Don't know how to solve problems. And you are not prepared for the wind. So, in closing tonight, what's another name for a good no advisor? Good night.